A couple of nights ago, I was at a local music venue watching a band. Nothing unusual there. But I spotted these tobacco tins that were for sale with the pub's branding on it. I took a look and suggested to the landlord that I could turn one of these into an effects pedal, as he's a guitar player. And the tin was promptly handed to me and the challenge was set. Okay, firstly let me explain. I didn't do a video explaining how I was going to do this from scratch because I wasn't 100% sure how I'm going to do it. But this is halfway through the build. I'm going to lift this open and you'll see inside the tin I've mounted two ordinary jack sockets. Nothing special about that. This build didn't require a battery, which is great because it would have been a real faff. The problem you have with these tins is they're quite flimsy. They're not very strong. And in fact, you can see I dented a couple of them as I was drilling the case. This is very much a work in progress prototype. And this is the top of the lid. And this lid sits on top and this will have all the controls on. So how did I give it strength? Well, it was quite easy really, because what I did was I connected in another tin box. This being a standard mini size foot switch tin aluminium box. And I slotted them together, drilled the holes through and mounted them. And in that way, you've got the strength from here going into the case. So when you press on the foot switch, you're not going to damage the fascia of the top of the tin. How long this will last, I don't know. It depends how hard it gets stamped on. But the concept is there. Now, I had a DC connector here. And I realised this is a different type to what I normally use. The ones I normally have the thread here pushing out into the outside. This is going the other way around. If it had been the first way, I could have gently threaded it through and bolted it to the outside of the case. That was my general idea. However, I couldn't do that. So with this in its box, the DC just sort of sits there going into the case. So hopefully that will work. I might just rotate it slightly so it doesn't we don't get the live touching the metal of the case. Again, this is just a prototype really, but I think the concept is kind of there. So I'm going to wire this all up now and see how it looks afterwards. Right, well here's the finished pedal. If I just take it apart because I haven't sealed it up yet. Wrapped up in hot glue is the circuit. There's the two jacks. There's the switch and the power connectors at the top. And this gently slots together like that to make the finished pedal. Now all I'm going to do with this is I will put some hot glue around the inside just to keep it together. And then I think job's done and I will take this up to its new owner. And what I also decided to do with every pedal I'm going to build from now on, it's going to have its serial number and it's going to have my name on it. So this is pedal number 2 because pedal number 1 is one I built for my dear friend Phil for his 60th birthday that I gave him yesterday. So every pedal I make will have its own serial number and there will also be a photograph of it either on my Facebook page or on my website or probably on both. That way, if these pedals ever take off or they ever become collectible, probably after I've gone, there will be some kind of reference to make sure that it's the real McCoy or not. Again, all these things are very much trial and error. Right, I thought I'd give you a little demo on what this pedal actually sounds like. Now, the way we use a boost pedal is in a valve amp. The way the signal goes generally is the guitar goes into the first stage of a valve or tube if you're in America. The signal then comes out of that first stage into the volume control, then out of the volume control into a second stage of amplification. So what we're actually going to be doing is driving that first stage of amplification before the volume control. If I've got an amp plugged in with a slightly dirty sound, shall we say, I'm using my Bulgara. So I've got this plugged into my amp, little bit of crunch, just got a basic rhythm sound. That kind of thing. Now, if you wanted to beef it up a bit, if you boost that front end, you get a much chunkier sound. And it sounds like this. Take it out. Whack it in. This is it on full. That's roughly about E to E on what the original is. In fact, you can even, it goes down to 0. You know, just before it gets to the top.
No way! How do I get into it, Matthew? Oh my god. Oh, look at that. Wow. Someone of a backing since into a guitar pedal. That's amazing.